just blame staff.
No blame
Now they can all
necessary.
blame
We're
me because
okay.
I'm the host.
All righty. You're
It's
the,
like being back in college when you give the professor, in this case, 15 minutes to come to the lecture. So we're within the window. Let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
all right. Better late than never. Thanks for being forgiving.
No problem.
And Sam, does it look like you're host? Because I don't want to log off if you're not.
It tells me I'm the host, so I think we're good.
Awesome. All right. Have a good meeting, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Julie. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for I'm glad you have my cell phone number. Thanks for calling.
Yes,
Yeah,
I am
now
too.
I have-
All right, take care of your daughter.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, I'm just looking to see if everybody is in, and it appears everybody is in. I see Ron. I think I see everybody. Although I don't think I've seen Jack.
No,
Sam, do you see everybody?
I don't see Jack yet. I just let in a phone number 978-471-2206.
Hi,
Hi.
Hi, this is
I'm sorry, there's no
Hi, this
name
is
that pops up.
that is my number. This is Debbie Costello. I'm calling from Beth Israel Leahy Health at Home.
Great, thank you.
Regarding, yes, I'm one of the individuals participating regarding the Sawtell Hospice House.
Great.
And I think, Linda, I see you, so it's nice to meet you. I'm Jonathan
Nice to
Barnes.
meet you, Jonathan.
I believe there's a third from Sawtell.
That would be me. My name is Donna Silva.
Donna Silva. Okay, nice to meet you. We'll do
Nice
the
to meet you
formal
as well.
introductions in a minute, but I just wanted to make sure we got everybody on board. And thank you for your patience. So
Sure.
I think, sorry, so I still am looking to see if Jack is here.
Not so far.
Yeah.
Should I read out my host remarks?
Yeah, I guess since it's already 7:15, let's get it going. Hope he'll join us and we'll designate somebody in a
Yeah.
moment.
Let's see. I just need to let everybody know that the meeting is recorded on our CTV, and it looks like they are showing up as a participant. When folks enter the waiting room, I'll let them right in. I've got that on the side so I can see it. And please use chat for technical issues, but not for like talking about subjects outside the meeting. It's a lot easier to keep track of the conversation.
Sure.
And you can let the chair, the host, you can use the raise hand feature if you like, or actually just give a wave. And then I've got materials that we need ready. If we need to look at anything, I can share my screen with everyone. So that's that.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So I'm Jonathan Barnes. I'm the chair. Why don't we go through and introduce everybody, and then we'll designate somebody. So since we're doing this all through Zoom, I'll just go through the names. Amelia, if you're there, I see you.
Yeah, I am. Hi, Amelia Friedman. I'm the secretary.
Jack is not with us at the moment. I believe Jack Williams. Sam, oh, you've already introduced yourself.
Yeah, Samantha Couture, I'm a member.
Charlene,
Charlene Reynolds Santo, I'm a member.
Virginia,
Virginia Adams, an associate member.
Pino,
Hi, I'm Pino Durazio. I am an associate member.
and Ron.
Ron Weston, associate member.
Okay, and I think we have met the three of you, Linda, Deborah, and Donna. So, and you are going to be the first issue up on our agenda. So let's call the meeting to order formally, and let's move to 320 Haverhill Street. Before we start, since we don't have Jack with us, let's designate Virginia, if you would be so kind, as the voting member.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So this issue is similar to the issue we had at the preceding meeting. It involves a historic home, a fabulous and wonderful historic home in this town, and we appreciate you folks caretaking it for us. And it is also, in addition to being on our inventory and covered by the demolition delay bylaw, it is subject to a preservation restriction agreement, which I know now, Linda, you folks have a copy if you didn't have a copy before. So we're all set with that. And that preservation restriction agreement has a provision in it that would require require advance notification and approval of the Historical Commission before the renovations or the repairs that you
Hello?
are interested in making. Yes, did somebody say hello? It didn't sound like Jack in any event either. Okay, so I'll keep going. So the provision is the alteration of the premises. Actually, it's the preceding provision before that, which says that ordinary maintenance and repair of the premises may be performed without, am I reading it correctly? Yes. Ordinary maintenance and repair of the premises and alteration and improvements as allowed by the Community Planning and Development Commission may be made without the written permission of the grantee. However, it says after the initial construction period of up to 18 months, the grantor shall not make any alterations, and then it lists, among other things, any visual or structural portion of the exterior of the premises without the written approval of the grantee. So those are the provisions and the authorization for us going forward with this. And I appreciate, after speaking with Andrew McNichol, you're following up with us. So thank you very much. We do have a copy of your proposal, which you were good enough to send to us, but would you be so kind as to just walk through, if you could, I don't know which one of you would, but just walk through, if you could, what your, the details of what your repairs and renovations are.
Sure. So there's an initial project that we'd like to discuss tonight, but then there's a plan for the next year going out where there's maintenance that needs to be done to the building. So there's rotted planks in some areas. There's some areas just need some painting and general touch up. But there are some pieces of from the historic side that will need to be replaced. Some fascia and things like that. I'm sorry, I'm not a very technically construction savvy. My husband would be very disappointed in me, but
Well,
that's why I sent the proposal.
If it makes you feel better, we're not necessarily any more technically savvy. Some of us maybe more than others. So that's not a problem at all. But
I know it's broken and it needs to be fixed, and we don't want it to deteriorate anymore. There's clearly some rot and things that we need to do to preserve the building.
okay, and I just to summarize, I guess, because we've all seen it, and it's quite an extensive and thorough proposal. It essentially seemed to be repair to the exterior clapboards, the door frames and window frames, essentially, maybe some sill boards and other items. We all saw what they are, and pretty extensive repair. As noted in the proposal, as well as then pretty extensive painting, including sanding, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we are familiar with that. I will afford you, any of you, obviously, any more opportunity you want to go over it, and then we can just, I guess, discuss it if that's better. But before we do that, let me just interject one thing for discussion among all of us, the commission members and you folks from Sawtell or from Beth Israel Leahy, however you want to be referred to. You mentioned, and I did see that that there is an initial project for, I believe it was the rear of the building, which you were essentially looking to go forward with, I guess, now or soon. And then you mentioned also ongoing projects, which are also covered, I assume, by this proposal throughout the year. I just want to throw out for discussion among all of us. I don't believe there is any prohibition in the preservation restriction agreement since you have requested or included all of that work, presuming you have, that reflects all of the work that you're talking about, either now or later, and maybe we can talk about a time schedule. But it all seems pretty clear and pretty straightforward. And I'm just going to suggest perhaps to the commission, we can consider not just approving the initial project, but since we have it all in front of us in the proposal, if that is correct, I don't necessarily see a prohibition to our approving all of it at this particular time, if that would help. I'm just throwing that out for the commission members to discuss. So I guess, let me first turn it back to you, Linda. Is there anything more that you wanted to add with regard to your description of what the project is? And maybe if you could lay out a little bit if you know the time frame for the other parts of the project, other than the rear, which you're looking to go forward with first.
Yeah, so the rear is our main concern. We don't want to go through another winter with the rot that you can visibly see. And then we're thinking as springtime comes, I think we're hoping to get everything done within the next year.
Okay, and am I correct that it is all what we see contained in this particular proposal? This
Yes, barring anything once they get in and if they find something. But as you said, the proposal's pretty in depth, so they did cover everything. And we
Okay.
would very much approve, we would very much appreciate it if we could get approval for the whole project tonight, obviously.
Okay. So let me then turn it to the commission members, if anyone has any questions or comments.
I think the proposal is very, very thorough. And it certainly just covers important work to fix rot, peeling paint, et cetera, et cetera. I'd just like to commend you for biting the bullet and working so hard and spending all this money to preserve this historic structure. But I would essentially bless everything that I've seen in the proposal. It is extensive. It's $83,000, I believe. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, we
Great.
love the building. It's important to us to maintain it.
Thank you, and we share your love, and we appreciate as I said before, we very much appreciate that, and we look forward to having it repaired and renovated as well. Virginia, I see you. Let me just ask this one question at the outset. I know that in the proposal, it talked about replacing, in each of the instances, it talked about replacing the clapboards. And it also talked specifically about replacing, in each of the sections, replacing the corner boards. And there it's specifically referenced with cedar. Can I ask, I'm assuming that all of the clapboard that's being replaced, actually all of the product that's being replaced is being replaced with in-kind natural materials. Am I correct about that?
Correct, yes. The planks will all be cedar and the windowsills will all be mahogany, which is
Okay.
the original materials.
Okay, thank you. Virginia, yes, I'm sorry.
I'd like to congratulate the applicants for doing a very good job. Whoever they are hiring certainly knows historic preservation, and the fact that they are doing all the material in kind and with the appropriate woods should make the longevity of the historic property go on and on. And I appreciate their very thorough and good presentation.
Well, thank you. It's important to us too that the original materials are maintained. And
I'm going to just interject. I see that Jack Williams has joined us, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And Jack, did you just have any questions or comments you wanted to make just now? If you can hear me, or if you're not muted. Sam, can you see if he's muted or?
it looks like he's muted. Oh, now he's on.
Jack? Okay, not sure.
Not muted right now. I'll send him a chat and ask if he can hear us.
Okay. One other question that I had wanted to ask in terms of the repairs, I did notice in at least one section, maybe both sections, the front and the back, but I certainly noticed it in the back, that the clapboards are tapered going down on the bottom. I don't know whether that's original, but I would just like to ask whether or not you know if that's the intention to replicate that in the repair work that you're having done with Presto.
I'm not understanding the question. Are you referring to, there is a section where the old house abuts the new house. So it's where the cedar is meeting the hardy plank? Is that the section that you're referring to?
No, I think it's in the back section. And I'm flipping through it. I'm pretty sure that it's in your rear side number 7 photo. I didn't mean to be too complicated there, but as the clapboard goes down midway at the door level, yeah, you can see that at that bottom sort of fifth of the clapboard, it is shrinking down. It's tapered down in the width of each of the boards.
Right.
And I don't know whether or not we've seen that also over at 409 Franklin Street, which is also an extremely precious icon in town. That was actually, I believe, was added on later. But I'm just, if you can see that photo that Sam has up,
I can.
and as you can see, at the bottom, sort of 6th or 5th of the side, the clapboards are diminishing in width.
Yes.
That should be preserved.
So I'm just asking if you know. I know I did not see that in the proposal, and yes, it should. I agree. So I'm just asking if you had any discussions with the contractor, or know whether it's included, or any inclination to include it.
Yeah, we did not have that discussion. So I'm not sure, but I can certainly present that to them,
Okay.
because I do see what you're talking about.
All right, I appreciate that. Virginia, I guess I'd turn to you. Am I describing? I'm not sure of the appropriate. I share Linda's technical proficiency in the nomenclature. Is there an appropriate term that should be used? I call them tapered clapboards.
I think it may be called feathered clapboards, but without referencing a book, I hesitate to say. But it is an early feature, and probably should definitely be replicated. I don't know whether that's the only section of the house that has been done that way, because that house has had several renditions of restoration on it.
Yeah, when I looked at the front set, I mean, I assume where it otherwise might be repeated is in the front of the structure, and it was a little harder for me to tell from the photos. But Sam, if you're able to do its front side number 2.
I think the bottom line here is that wherever that increasing overlap shingle situation occurs, it should be preserved. And in the older houses, as the shingling gets, or the clapboarding, whatever, got closer to the ground, they overlapped more to increase the thickness and essentially provide more insulation to the house. So wherever that occurs, we should just make sure that our approval requires that to be preserved in the renovation.
Yeah, well said, Ron. Thank you. It is hard to tell, but Ron's point is well taken. So I guess we can just leave that point at that.
Right.
Any
Yeah,
other? I'm sorry?
Say Presto is the one who identified the type of wood, the type of planks, said that they were historical and should be maintained. So I would imagine Presto is probably all over this, but we'll certainly mention it to them.
Yeah.
But they're the ones who seemed extremely familiar with the fact that it was historical and needed to be maintained in every aspect.
Great. Thank you. Virginia, you had another comment?
Well, just a correction from what I said. Those are not called feathered when they're tapered down like that. The clapboards are feathered when they join midway and
Right.
are interlocked with their fingers. So I misspoke, and I correct that.
So let's refer to them as tapered clapboards for the
Fine.
time being. Okay, any other questions or comments from the commission members? I can't see any hands. I only have it on the side of the screen now. Okay.
Jonathan? Oh, I was
Yes.
waving.
Sam?
Yeah, I just agree about mimicking the clapboard pattern. I think that's pretty important. And it's hard to tell from the photo if it's quite the same on the front, but it's pretty pronounced on the back of the building.
Right.
Shall we move to approve the project as proposed?
If there are no other comments, yes, that would be appropriate. Are you making that motion, Ron?
Can I do that as an associate member?
I'm sorry, that's correct. You cannot,
Yeah.
or you ought not. We ought to adhere to the rules. So
And-
can I have a
and-
motion from the voting members?
And in that motion, I'd like to add that we thank the nurses, the staff and administrators of the facility for all the great work they're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
True and noted to be included in the motion. Okay, so I
I
guess
ditto
I
what
will-
he said and make the motion.
Excellent. So Charlene has made the motion, which I will be happy to second, to approve the maintenance and repair work as delineated or as outlined in the Presto full renovation proposal. I believe it's dated October 27th, 2020. So that would, just parenthetically, Linda, that would include all of it at
Beautiful.
whatever your schedule is.
And you might, we might just add, because that verbiage is not used in the proposal, and that materials will be replaced in kind.
Yeah, I was just going to do that. Exactly, Ron. I appreciate that. And we should also add that with the addition that the where the clapboards are tapered, they will be maintained as tapered clapboards. And the motion should also include our expression of gratitude for maintaining and preserving and caretaking.
I think, Jonathan, the term is where the exposure is reduced.
That's the appropriate technical term, Ron?
Reproduce that exposure.
Okay. Amelia, you can work on that in your leisure. Was there anything else that we needed to add in that motion, or does that cover everything we need? I believe it covers everything we need. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, let's do the roll call vote. Amelia?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Charlene?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Jonathan? Yes. And Jack, if you can hear us.
I can hear you, Jonathan. I'm going to abstain because I missed this
Excellent.
whole discussion trying to log on to this blankety blank blank system.
You may not even be aware that none of us could log on to the system until about 7:15. I should also let you know, I appreciate that, but in your absence, we designated Virginia as the voting member on this, so we're otherwise covered. So we have
Does that mean I can leave?
It absolutely does not mean that you can leave, nor does it mean that Virginia can leave. So we have the motion and the approval. I will tell you that according to the preservation restriction agreement, the communication between us should be in writing and should be. So I will be ultimately sending you a letter confirming what we voted today to approve it as we worded it in the motion. And to that end, I have the only address that I have is the address that's in the agreement that I'm trying to find it. Hang on, bear with me for 1 second. No, that's because I'm in the wrong document. I'm just trying to find and I also have the person, oh, it doesn't say, it just says CEO and executive director. Who would that be at the current time?
That would be Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie, are you still on?
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, so it's a combination of titles, but is there something specifically that you need from the CEO?
No.
Is it a specific item? Okay.
No, and it isn't particularly pressing at all. Just that in the preservation restriction agreement, it indicates to whom the approval letter should be mailed, and it says CEO, executive director. So I will mail it to. It doesn't matter to me otherwise, but I will mail it to Debbie if that's okay with you guys.
Sure.
And it also lists you as the Visiting Nurse Association of Middlesex East, 607 North Ave, Suite 17. Wakefield 01880. Is that the correct mailing address?
The mailing address is correct. However, we have a new DBA.
Okay.
And the new DDA is Beth Israel Leahy Health at Home.
Okay, I saw that elsewhere, so I will refer to that then. Beth Israel
Actually, the
Leahy.
address is not correct. I think that's the old Middlesex East address.
Okay.
So we just sent,
Donna, I'm sorry.
that's
I
okay.
apologize.
That's okay.
You can, if you just want to email me, Linda, with the correct
That would be
mailing
great.
information, I'm glad I asked,
Thank
but I
you.
do want,
Yeah.
I do want to send it out and I want to have the correct address.
That's okay. Thanks.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I believe that brings this matter to a close unless there's any other comment or question other than, again, our thanks to you all for taking care of this building for us and for all that you do, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Thank
thank you very much
you.
for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, so let's move on.
hear the cat bark?
Charlene.
Yeah.
Mhm.
16 Eaton Street is the next agenda item. I should inform folks, if I didn't communicate it before, that that I did communicate to Guy and to Brooks when we had the date for this meeting. I shared with them the Zoom invite information, and I asked them to join us and asked if they had any additional design plans or information to share with us. Guy did get back to me to let me know that they were meeting with the architect, and if they had anything to add, he would let me know. I did not hear from him, and I see they are not here this evening. So I'm going to assume that we have nothing further to discuss about that unless anybody wants to make a comment or question about it. Okay.
Fine.
Okay. Ditto, by the way, on Main Street, I communicated the information to Chris Latham, the attorney representing that project, invited them to attend. We went back and forth. I also shared with him, you may recall it at the last meeting, when we talked about what the terms of a early release agreement letter would be to codify the details that they had proposed to include. He asked us to send some document. I sent them a sample similar to what we did on Gould Street, just noting that, you know, it was the typical language we've all seen, and their agreement to do the display in the lobby area, in the elevator area. I haven't heard from him back about that. They, as everybody knows, have been going back and forth with the CPDC, and the CPDC has sent them back each time with comments and let's just say constructive criticism concerning the project. In my last communication with Chris, he indicated that they appreciated the opportunity to meet with us, but that they would take a pass on it because they wanted to get further input from the CPDC regarding what they were interested in. I would also add that there was a DRT meeting that I know about that Andrew had invited me to yesterday. And I believe the primary subject, that was with 531 Main Street. And the primary purpose, as I could tell, I was not able to attend, I had a medical appointment. The primary purpose for that DRT was to have a further vetting of the issue primarily regarding the parking. I don't know if people saw or have since heard about what went on at the CPDC. There was a lot of comments and criticism of the proposal, but there was a lot of discussion concerning the parking and the lack of adequate parking, not only from the CPDC, one second, Ron, not only from the CPDC, but also from the abutting business and I think a resident in the neighborhood. The applicant had initially proposed some on-street parking out there. The CPDC had initially told them to remove that parking, so he did, but they were continuing to discuss the lack of parking. So they decided to go back to the DRT and to the Parking Transportation Task Force to review that. I've not heard back from Andrew. He's apparently out this week. So I don't know what happened about that. So there is no further input that I have regarding 531, and we'll just sit tight on that. Ron, did you have any other comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I applaud the CPDC for rejecting the project in its current state and realize that there's a huge amount of work to be done before I would think it would be appropriate to permit that project to move forward. So good luck to the CPDC. I wish them well.
Thanks, and I'll keep people posted. I believe I've not seen it on the agenda, but I have a note in my.
It's not on the CPD. It's not on the CPDSM agenda for this coming meeting.
Right.
It's to
What I
make
was gonna say-
that they're in the trenches, the developer and the homeowner, the owners, trying to appropriately respond to the CPDC requests.
What I was going to say was that my notes indicate, and I guess it was probably from the last CPDC meeting, that they have put it tentatively on their agenda for December. I just got a note here and I just lost what it is. I think that's the 14th.
Yeah.
So that as of right now, that's the next date that it's on. And Ron is, I think, correct that it'll depend on whatever additional modifications they choose or are suggested to them. But that's the next date. And if folks want to continue to observe, you can catch the CPDC meeting or check the website for when it's next on. Any other questions or comments about 531 now? If not, Sam, nobody's hand raised. I guess I can see everybody now. No. Let's move to the utility box vinyl wrap project. This should be a pretty short meeting. I have reached out to Franklin, but I haven't heard anything from him, but mostly for Jack. As far as I know, he has not yet received the initial $2,000 payment from the town, which I understand from you was made on October 15th. So the way I left it with Franklin, since he has put in his total bill for $4,000, and we talked about how to do that, I told him to wait till he got the check for $2,000 and then resubmit a final balance due of $2,000. And I'm anticipating, since I haven't gotten anything from him for that final balance, that and nor have I heard from him when I emailed him and called him today, that he hasn't yet received the check. So I guess what I'd like to ask, Jack, if you can maybe just touch base with the treasurer's office just to see if they can give us some information about why it's taken so long, because it's now been a month. So if you could check on that and let me know, I'd appreciate it. I guess I should bring this up now. I was going to bring it up under new business. We had a brief conversation about this, but we didn't reach closure, and I think we need to reach a consensus. I had mentioned at a previous meeting that I have been contacted by a grant organization who at this particular time doesn't necessarily want to be named, but they have indicated that they have grant money for us to apply for this particular project. I don't know how much money they have. I can find out, but the question that needs to be determined by us is, do we want to go forward with any additional utility box vinyl artwork? So I'm going to put that out there now, and I guess I would say, obviously, if we do choose to go forward, I will say I would love to see us do more. If the commission wants to go forward, we're obviously talking about next spring at the earliest, because we're done for this season. So this would be a project to start looking at photos or sites over the course of the winter and maybe even into the spring. So it's not anything that would happen anytime soon, but we have to decide whether I don't want to submit or talk with Sam about having us submit a grant application if the commission does not wish to go forward. So I would like us to at least develop a consensus, if not a vote on this. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, my thoughts are, we've done a great job on the first floor. We should be proud of the benefit that the town is going to derive from that artwork on the boxes. I would rather that we not be spread thin. Accept the kudos that we have been receiving and appreciate that very much, and move on to other projects.
Okay.
Sticking with our mission statement.
Thanks. Amelia, any thoughts?
No, I just wanted Ron to clarify, what do you mean by don't spread ourselves thin?
Take on too many tasks.
Does this task seem to you to be work intensive?
Working what now?
Work intensive.
Work intensive, or there are other, I'm sure there are other projects or other things that we're going to be asked to do, whether it's more demolition delays or reviewing historic structures. I just thought that we've done a great job on, or you guys have done a great job on the first 4. I suggest we just move on.
Okay, I guess before I comment, any other comments? Charlene, why don't you go first?
I think they look great, and I think it would be awesome if we could do 1 or 2 more. You know, I don't want it to be too much work on somebody, but I think they really look phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
would like to add to them if that's possible.
Okay, thank you. Virginia?
Yes, I would agree with Charlene. We haven't discussed the QR codes yet, though. I'd like to follow up on that project as well. But I don't see that they go on everywhere, but maybe 1 or 2 more would be in select spots would be worthwhile.
Okay, thanks. Great point, by the way, about the QR codes, and I would endorse that. I think we should, if we go forward, work on, actually, even if we don't go forward with additional ones, we should work on that. Sam, yes, I'll come back to me. Sam.
Yeah, I have not connected up with Andrew yet, who was doing QR code work with the art boxes, but I will try to pester him again and see what's happening with those. And yeah, I think 1 or 2 more would be nice. I'm not willing to participate because I have other stuff going on, but if other folks are willing to put them together, I think it's worth at least finding out how much this grant giving institution who shall not be named is willing to give us.
Okay, thanks. Anybody
Jonathan?
else?
Yes,
Jack?
Jonathan.
Yes.
Does anybody have any ideas as to the actual boxes that are left? Before
Well-
we go running after money, shouldn't we ascertain if there are in fact some utility boxes in desirable locations?
Well, yes, we should. Obviously, I can only speak for me, and I assume I would have been the one to do it. I haven't done that because we haven't had this conversation yet, but I'd be perfectly happy to do that. And I am entirely comfortable that there are any number of boxes, I mean, that are left, certainly. There are other boxes in the downtown area. The depot jumps out there. They're all over, but we could cross that bridge when we come to it. But I have no doubt that we would be able to come up with, if we're talking about 1 or 2 more utility boxes, I have no doubt that we'd be able to come up with 1 or 2 more in this town.
What about
Anything else?
offering to do over some of the boxes that have been hand painted?
No,
Ouch. Well, we can tackle that question another time, but I'm not willing to take that on.
no.
Sam, were you suggesting that I forget the conversation, but is Andrew intending to pursue that, or is he actually pursuing that? And would you be willing to talk with him to follow up on that, or do you want me to, or somebody else to? Or I didn't realize that was something that we were looking at.
Yeah, I think at the last meeting, Julie might have mentioned, or maybe it was the meeting before, that Andrew was going to try to have something like that for the art boxes. So,
Right.
But I will get in touch with him and see if that was something we could do jointly.
Yeah. You're right. You reminded me that she did reference that he was going to be looking into that. And if you would do that, I would appreciate it, because I think it's a great idea that we should definitely pursue.
Yeah, it would certainly enhance our historic boxes. We could have some more information for people.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. Thanks. Any other comment? Pino, any comment?
Yeah, I just had a question. Jonathan, I know you mentioned that the grant was specifically for the boxes, but I just want to double check. Is that the case? Like, is it we're only giving you this money only if you do the boxes, or is there would they give us money to potentially do something else, I guess is what I'm asking.
No, it's a great question. I will say this. In the conversation that I had with this individual, it was specifically in reference to the utility boxes. But I did not follow up by asking whether or not that would be the only project for which this person would be willing to entertain a grant application from us. And I'd be happy to do that. I'm just not aware of any other projects and that we have, and I don't know of any. But I mean, if there are any, I speak now or forever hold your peace, because this is the only one that I'm aware of that we have going. But the conversation was in the context of these utility boxes. So, and I guess I would also add to the conversation, to the extent that we're getting a consensus, that I am fully in support of doing additional boxes, and it is, to Ron's point, it is a fair amount of work. I would probably say most of the work probably fell on me, but it was absolutely shared by others, particularly Amelia and Virginia. And I'd be willing to continue to pursue that and entertain anybody else who would be willing. And I certainly don't think considering one or two more is that unduly burdensome on my time or our time or the commission's time. So I'm strongly in favor of doing this.
Go for it.
Okay, so that being the case, yes, Amelia, sorry.
So the only question I have then is who is available to write the grant application? Because Sam just said she doesn't have time. You, okay.
I actually have the application, and to be honest, I believe I shared the others with you guys. It's a one-page document. It's not difficult at all, and I'm happy to do it. I already have the others, so I'm happy to do it. I guess what I'd like to say is that I think that at this point, it certainly appears that there's a consensus, but in recognition of the discussion, I think we should probably have a vote. We should probably have a formal vote as to whether or not to pursue this grant application. So I would make a motion that the Historical Commission pursue the grant application as discussed at this evening's meeting for the purpose of one or two additional utility box vinyl wrap artwork projects. I guess that's it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any, you got that, Amelia? You good? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go through the roll call. Amelia?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Charlene?
Yes.
Virginia?
Sure.
And Jonathan, yes. Okay.
You're not
Thank you.
asking me, Jonathan?
No, Jack,
I off the meeting?
no, I
If
said
I'm off the
before,
meeting, I'm gonna leave.
I said
Either
you're not off.
you ask for my vote, ask for my vote, or I'm gonna leave.
Well, I have no control over, you're a grown man and you can do whatever you wish. But I said before that we had designated Virginia as the member in your absence this evening. So
I'm not absent, Jonathan.
yes, but you were, and I made the designation. So I'm sticking with it. If whether or not that's okay, that's what I'm doing. So you can take whatever action you wish to, but that's where we stand. Okay, any further discussion about the utility box project?
No.
Okay, Jack, before you go, up too late, he left. On the finances, the only issue is, and I'll follow up with Jack again with an email, but I still would like to pursue what's going on with the town with respect to the payment to Franklin for this, so I'll take care of that. Okay, archive policy. Sam, would you like to walk us through that if you could?
Yeah, well, Jonathan has some good point about the policy. We didn't have anything in it that talked about the RHC records. So our minutes and
Right.
the stuff that accumulates about our each hearing and whatnot. And I haven't yet gotten to, I thought I'd add a paragraph about the kinds of things we'll collect for our records. And maybe we want to have like some input on to what kinds of things we want to collect, what's folks who've been members for a long time, what sort of personal papers for individual members versus stuff that, is routinely filed and kept in the town archive. And I'd like to flesh that out a bit more and then bring the manual back for a vote next month. But if anyone has anything that'll help with that.
Sam, does everybody have, I don't remember, I know that I sent around my revisions. I don't know if I shared it with everybody, and I don't know if you have any others, but are we comfortable that everybody has whatever is the latest iteration of that document?
It should be. I haven't done another one yet because I want to get some more feedback on the RHC records before I go ahead and.
So whatever So whatever my other comments were, everybody has already seen. Just to this point,
As far as I know, yeah.
What I was suggesting be added or somehow addressed by the commission is we all have, or at least the chair has file information for at least the demolition delays, things like 186 Summer Ave, which wasn't the demo delay. I have file folders for Gould Street. I have a file folder for 186 Summer Ave. I'm sure Ron has file folders. Carl had them. Charlene had them for all of the different projects. It was always my presumption that ultimately I was going to go into town hall, into the archives, and the only place that I could think of is the file cabinets that as you go in the door immediately to your left, and I doubt that there's any room for all of these things, but all I am saying is those file folders, to the extent that we have them, should not be retained permanently in the homes of the various chairpersons. They should be retained somewhere, whether it's in the archives or someplace else. So I just wanted to reference that, and I just want the commission to deal with it, whether it's in the archive policy or elsewhere. Virginia, and what were your other comments?
Well, at one point, we actually did have a desk and office space up in community services, but because we didn't go in and use that space very frequently, then everything got moved into the archives. But either we need more space in the archives or another area for our records for the functions of the, I think the functions of the RHC should be separate from the archive functions.
Yeah.
And so we might want to consider that approach. I do have one suggestion, Sam. I didn't email you, but under loans and exhibits,
yeah,
we have to address the fact about how to, if we want to take anything out of the archives, we should have some sort of a policy about whether we lend it or whether somebody borrows it. Or,
yeah, I think I mentioned that, but I didn't give much detail. So I'll add something like we should probably have a loan form that's an agreement with whoever borrows something.
Right.
I think that's actually in the document.
Yeah.
Didn't we have one before?
Yeah, or
A
if
log or something?
That's the other issue. We should have a log for activities of going in. I mean, it should be mentioned in the document.
Yeah.
You're right, Charlene.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that subject is addressed in the document.
There is a bit on loans and exhibits. So, but
yeah.
I haven't written up a sample form.
Okay.
But that would be something to have with the manual. Just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Virginia, are you saying that whatever space we might have had in community development is no longer there, or is it possible it's still there?
Well, I think the space is there, but we can't use it.
Are you saying we can't use it because we're not authorized or because of the COVID thing?
No, we're not authorized. They eliminated our office space up in that community service department.
Do you
Do
think-
other commissions have space?
Well, other commissions are,
Yes, staff.
have a town liaison who keeps, like, you know, for the CPDC and for the ZBA, I think it's, I know it's Amanda. You know, for conservation, it's Chuck Tyrone, you know, so their records are all maintained by a staff person.
Yes.
I mean, other than the Historic District Commission, I believe we're the only ones, you know, as an active commission that doesn't have that space. It is the suggestion, and I'm happy to pursue it with Julie. I mean, I'd be happy to contact Julie and just raise this question and see if we can have some space for this material, since we clearly don't. Is there a desire that we pursue that?
I think that's a great idea. It'd be nice to have a spot like where all that can go when we're done with it, and we can, as a group, you know, decide at some point if some of it needs to go into the town archive, you know, after 10 years or something. But yeah,
Okay.
it's really hard to know when you're down in the archive now what's what as far as our things versus what are town documents.
Most of the business papers and
Yes.
are in that file near the windows, but
Oh, yeah.
you're right. I mean, unless you know that, you're going to go through a dozen files to find what you're looking for. So
What business materials are you saying is there?
former minutes, our accession file.
Oh,
Agenda, member lists.
Yeah, we
Okay.
haven't had an updated member list for a long time either.
but do we, the kinds of files that I'm mentioning, you know, like the folders for, I mean, and I know it's really informal and sporadic because so much material is not, particularly now, is not generated in paper form. It's generated digitally, and that's why I've been trying to funnel stuff to our computer, so at least we have it digitally. But I'm sitting here with a stack of 6 inches or 8 inches of file folders. Now, a lot of that can be culled out, but do we have any of those kinds of files anywhere in the archives? Or is it in that file cabinet to the left of the door at all? Or
Yeah, aren't those for individual addresses? Like
Yes,
specific buildings. So
right.
okay,
The
so
only, any business files we have been put next to the desk in the file cabinet that's next to the window.
okay.
Do you know which one I mean? Yeah.
I do.
Alright.
It's to the right, over by the dehumidifier, but in the
Right.
corner there. Okay, I know
Right.
exactly what you mean.
Okay.
But be that as it may, it's worth at least communicating. I'm not holding out any likelihood of success, but communicating with Julie on behalf of the commission that we have a need, a dire need for some space, and I'm thinking file cabinet space for that kind of material.
it may also be useful to ask maybe Amanda if, I know she's told me before if there are any electronic documents we want to keep. She keeps copies of our minutes and other stuff on the server. So maybe we can use her to help us keep electronic copies of all of those things.
Fair enough, although I do think they should be on our computer as well, and
Well, no, it'd be on our computer. We can access the servers, the town servers. So
right.
it'd live on a server somewhere, which Amanda could get to, and where we could get to from the computer downstairs.
Well, isn't everything basically on our computer on the server?
It depends. If it's on the local hard drive, it only lives there. If it's on one of the town servers, I think it's the H drive is the town server. If it's there, then it's on the server, and you know.
Yeah.
The town can get.
But I guess all I'm saying is that, and I think first of all, I think virtually everything is, and I think actually all of the files that I think we're using are not. We're using via the H drive or whichever is the town's server drive. I think Amanda and I and one of the technical support IT people took care of that a year or so ago. I should check on that. But I'm also saying, I just think, to me, I just think that, and that's why I think when we're sending everything through, through the RHC forwarding address, it's all ending up probably on both, I'm sure. But it should all be, I mean, even though this has all gone to hell, particularly in the last 9 months, but, it was my desire, and it should be our desire at some point to get into that archive and get on that computer and I started to make file folders for Gould Street, for Summer Ave, for Grove Street, there should be a file folder for all of our projects. Yeah. And as we get this stuff digitally, like I send like the letter that I did to Criterion, I mean, I sent that to the RHC forwarding address. If we can ever get into town, I would put that letter in the file folder for 186 Summer, and everything should be there. But anyhow, I guess I'm overkilling this subject.
No, I haven't had a chance to use the computer in a long time. So but I think having a regular, that could be something we add to the archive manual once we're able to organize our files a little bit more.
And I've gotten in there 2 or 3 times, but every time I've gotten in there, it's with the express restriction that I got to be out in like 30 minutes. So I've turned on the computer, but I haven't really been able to do much. Virginia, yes.
Well, I just wanted to caution or bring up the fact that when we did have our own office, the problem was we didn't have a computer at that desk. So then we started going downstairs to the archives to use the computer. Yeah. So you have to think about whether a separate office is viable beside desirable.
I don't want a separate office. I have no desire to have a separate office, and nor would we ever get office space or a desk.
We need a bigger archives then.
Well, what I was going to say was what I wouldn't mind having upstairs is file cabinet space. I mean, for 2 reasons. One, we need some place to put this stuff. That's one. We need some place to put this stuff. And 2, as we've had some discussions, it isn't really archive material. So it doesn't have to be in the archive, and it probably shouldn't be in the archive. So plus, actually, 3rd reason, we don't have the space in the archive for our archives, much less this stuff. So that's the only reason why I was thinking it's worth asking if there's file cabinet space to pursue. Sam?
I think that's a good interim solution, is to have a place to store the RHC documents of, say, the past, 5 years. It's somewhere else in town hall until we have a chance to really go through the archive and consolidate what we can, and then figure out how much more space we really need.
Right.
That would be kind of a way to bridge that.
So, just going back in my memory, it would mean, if Charlene has any material, from having been the chair back in 14 or whenever that was, and then if Carl has any material, and then if Ron has any material, and then if I have any material. So, that's far enough back. That goes back to 14. Virginia, yes.
Don't forget me. I've got a whole room full.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I know. I know. Although my feeling is that you're probably not necessarily going to want to part with a lot of that stuff right now. But yes, no, I totally agree. You are the primary repository for the bulk of the material that we're talking about. So I think we ought to have a file cabinet, a 4 or 5, drawer file cabinet. But I just want to raise the issue and take whatever we can possibly get, which I'm still thinking is going to be nothing, but at least it's worth raising the conversation.
Right.
Even if it means spending our own money to buy it if they have some place to put it. But let's just leave it at that and pursue it. Were there any other thoughts or comments about that subject? Okay.
I'll go ahead and revise the policy manual again to mention our records and send it out to folks before the next meeting so we can look at it together.
Great.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just making myself a note. Okay, new business. Is there any new business? Virginia?
No, because I don't get out of the house anymore.
A problem from which we all suffer. Yes, Sam.
I looked at the photo that I've forgotten the name of the house we looked at last week, our special meeting on November.
420 Franklin Street.
Yeah, and you sent around the photo of their historic picture.
1865.
And the windows I could see were 9/6 and not 6/6. They had said in the photo, they looked like they were 6/6. When I looked at it, I thought they looked like they still did before the replacements got put in. So I was curious.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I couldn't say that I came to a conclusion, because I think I mentioned it in my email, that it was extremely difficult for me to actually determine what I was looking at with respect to which building. I'm not even sure I know which building. There was a one-story building in that photo, and then there was a two-story building in that photo, which I assume the two-story was the original 1711. I don't know what the one-story building was, but I agree with you, Sam, that it was extremely ambiguous in terms of, actually, I'd probably go even further. As I sat there to try to count, I'm not even sure I could tell whether it was 9/6 or 12/9. It was really hard for me to tell what it was, but I had grave reservations about what it was, even to the point that I wasn't even certain. I was waiting to see if I heard from anybody to say that wasn't the picture that we looked at on that evening of November 5th, because I'm pretty sure that we all came away from the picture that we looked at on the evening as saying that they look like 6/6. So I agree with you, and I'm not sure, and I'm happy to take another look, although I'm not so sure that I have the stomach to go back and resurrect our approval, particularly after I've already sent the letter giving them our approval.
I don't think we need to do anything about it, but it was interesting. It was really, I couldn't tell during the meeting when she was holding it up what was going on, but when I zoomed in a little, I thought it looked just like the 9/6.
Virginia.
The second story windows, I'm pretty sure, were 6/6. It's the first floor windows that we are debating. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. So just for the heck of it, go back and look at that photo. I mean, I did try to expand it, and you can actually count the panes. I mean, at a minimum, Sam, I agree with you. They were 9/6, if not literally 12/9. But check them out, and we can perhaps muse about this at our next meeting. But yeah, that was a little unsettling to me too. I agree. Any other comments under the category of new business? Hearing none, we will move on to the minutes. I sent around my comments, and I think, I can't recall, I think Virginia, you may have added some comments, but I don't know if we need to go over them or whether someone wants to just move to approve them or not, but I'm opening it up for discussion. Let's start with the first, well, let's go back, let's go with the October 22nd. Does anybody have any comment or want to look at them? I think, Sam, I'm not suggesting put them up just yet, but are there any comments or questions that anybody had about the minutes as revised on October 22nd? Charlene? I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the form. It's blank where it says building address, purpose, all of that information. Shouldn't it be on here somewhere that it's a Zoom meeting? Or is it down in the body?
Yeah, it's in the body,
It's in the body. Okay.
the third paragraph where Sam gave her little spiel.
Okay.
Any other comments or proposed revisions? If not, then I will move that we accept the minutes of October 22nd, 2020 as revised.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Amelia,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Charlene,
Yes.
Virginia,
Yes.
and Jonathan is a yes. So likewise on November 5th, were there any additional comments or questions or proposed revisions? Virginia.
I had sent in a change on page 2.
Yep, I got it.
Good. So the other people should know it's not Conservation Commission, it was Mass Historical Commission. And
Yeah, I noted that too.
let's see what else I had.
But Virginia,
Oh.
in your suggested change, it looked like you actually were also including the Conservation Commission. Did you mean to do that?
Yes, because
Okay.
we spent months working with the Conservation Commission as well,
Okay.
because there was wetlands on the property. So
Okay.
we
thank
pulled
you.
out all the stops. On page 3, the first full paragraph, JW returned the discussion to the windows. And I think that should read 9/6 instead of 9/9.
Yeah, I mentioned, Ron is the one who mentioned that to me, and I caught it in
Okay.
one of them and he mentioned it. I think Amelia already got that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. Were there any other comments or proposed revisions? And if not, then I'll move to accept the minutes of November 5th, 2020 as revised. Is there a
I'll
second?
second. I'll second.
Thank you. Charlene seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, vote. Amelia,
Yes.
Sam,
Yep.
Charlene,
Yes.
Virginia,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So our minutes are approved. And that brings us to the next meeting date. How does December 25th sound? Oh, that's right. Well, we won't be doing anything else that day.
Right.
We'll be eating Thanksgiving turkey still because I ordered
I know it's kind of it's going to be good when this episode is concluded. So let's see, what do we got? Actually, Christmas is the 1, 2, 3, 4th week. We could meet. Are people interested? I mean, I take it we should meet. We could meet, and we can meet on the 17th, which is a Thursday. Is that okay with people?
That's good.
How
Is it a
did we
problem?
get shifted? How did we get shifted to Thursday nights? Because
We got shifted because of the town's limited Zoom licenses, and they have conservation and CPDC. So that looked like the better night for us to do. Is that a problem, Virginia, for you?
yeah, I often have a conflict with the Arts Reading.
Oh, really?
And I'm the Historical Commission representative on it, but they were meeting tonight, in fact, but my choice is here.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's certainly our choice. But I think for the time being, I'd like to try to stay. But I'm also happy to raise, Tuesday. Tuesday I know is a select board, so that's obviously a problem.
Well, actually, they're not meeting in December, so let's go with Thursday in December
Okay.
and see how it goes for the rest of the year.
I mean, to be honest, let's do that. And if the 17th is okay, let's keep it on the 17th, but I did raise with Julie. I know nobody's going to want to do this, but I did raise with Julie when we were scrambling to get a date for 420 Franklin, the possibility of meeting on a Friday, since I
Oh.
expected that no other town organizations were meeting that day. And Julie said, that's actually an interesting thought. Maybe you can. I don't recall whether we ever concluded it because we ended up meeting on another night, but I'd be happy to try to pursue that going forward. But that does mean we'd be meeting on a Friday for those of you who are younger than, than the likes of me, because I'm not doing anything on Friday.
No.
So no Shabbat for you?
No Shabbat. Do you guys do Shabbat?
No.
My brother does that, but no, we could have a Zoom meeting by candlelight, Amelia. Okay, so if that's okay, then we'll stay with Thursday, the 17th. And Virginia, you I guess need to let me know if you want me to look at, Friday with Julie going forward in the next year. Or I can put that on Sam going forward in January.
Are Mondays an option?
Well, I don't know what else, but I know CPDC meets on Monday, but we could raise that. I mean, maybe we should just raise generally.
Ask
with
for
Julie.
some alternative.
Yeah.
thing, just
Yeah.
in case. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm writing myself a note. I hope I can read it. I may have to call you, Amelia, to decipher what I'm writing. All right, I think that's it. So our next meeting is December 17th. If there's no further business, shall we adjourn it? Sam?
I just want to know what Charlene's cat is named.
Rambo.
Oh, it's very sweet.
Yeah. Mhm.
I have a Zoom lunch meeting with the group of my friends that we used to get together with in town on Wednesdays. So we now meet in a Zoom meeting on Wednesday, and one of the guys has a pug, and it's probably kind of an older pug, and it's really, really finicky. So invariably, at some point in the meetings, you can hear the way a pug will bark and bother this poor guy, and then eventually it ends up in his lap on the screen. So we share our Zoom meetings with his pug. Okay, shall I move to adjourn? Yes, I will move to adjourn. Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's do the vote. Amelia?
Yes.
Sam?
Yep.
Charlene?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes,
And I vote yay. So we are adjourned.
very good.
All right.
Folks, whatever you all are doing on Thanksgiving, I wish you all a healthy, happy Thanksgiving, and look forward to a better year.
Same to you.
Yes, thank you. Same to you all.
All right, guys. Good night.
All right, good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sam, for taking care of this. Appreciate it.
Yep.